Hey everybody, I hope you all are doing well and welcome back to Whiskey Wanders. And today we are back in the beautiful state of Arizona doing some business, but also there is never not enough time to stop by and do some whiskey wandering. And more specifically, this time around, we are in the Total Wine at Goodyear, Arizona. And I will tell you what, Total Wines in Arizona's, they really are pretty well stacked with both bourbons as well as scotches. And I'm not sure what's going on in Arizona, but I sure would love some of that to rub off here in California. Because we see some almost impossible to find, at least in LA, possible to find scotches out of Campbell Town, the Springbank 15, as well as a 2023 finished limited release out of Makers Mark, one of the BEPs, and really so much more. Oh, also mention, I did end up missing the Woodford Reserve Masters Collection Batch 124, the batch proof. But they were nice enough to at least leave the tag out so they can mock us with an empty shelf. So that was sad as well. Anyways, before we get to it, if you like these videos, if you like the wanders, if you like the hauls, if you like the reviews, the unbottlings, the unboxings, and really all the amazing stuff that we got cooking up for you. And we have amazing stuff cooking up for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it really does help the channel to grow, and we are so thankful for that. But also because you get updates when our newest videos come out on Sundays, when our shorts come out sort of randomly, and our other videos come out in between. All right, now, let's get down to the video. All right, so today we are going to start off this whiskey wander, get a little warmed up, and hopefully you're getting a little warmed up here, and do a whiskey check. And I think today I'm going to be enjoying some of this Hancock Reserve, sort of a Blanton's alternative, or at least that's the way it's sold for sure. But it's not terrible. Let's get a glass here. See if we can get a pop off of it. Let's see here. Oh, wait. Turn it over. One. Turn it over. Two. Let's see if we can get a pop. Hey, that's probably the best one we've had so far this year. All right, get a little juice. Oh, yeah. And to whiskey, because honestly, let's face it, you can never really drink too much of it. You can only just sort of drink it too fast. Cheers. Ooh, that's not bad on its own. Side by side, doesn't hold up, but on its own, not bad. Not bad. All right, so first up for today is a Scotch that, to be more specifically, is quite difficult to get here, at least on the coast, which was what made finding it very surprising when we found it in Arizona. I know in general, Arizona has a very strong bourbon culture. Again, shout out to the Bourbon Society of Arizona. But when it comes to things like Scotch and Japanese whiskey, those things tend to sit on the shelf a little bit longer out in Arizona than they do here in California. Just enough time for someone like myself and the wife to drive out and pick it up. But in this case, we see the Springbank 15 that is in the glass case, and we're pretty excited to see it because, again, it's pretty rare to see out in the wild here, at least at a reasonable price, and we'll talk about reasonable prices. Now, Springbank in general is a very prized Scotch maker out of Campbell Town in Scotland, and it's part of sort of a whiskey triumvirate up there because the Springbank distillery makes Springbank, obviously, but they also make a non-peated Hazelburn line, which is also quite good, as well as a peated long grow version as well. And they all come out of Springbank and have their own kind of unique profiles that really sets them apart from each other. But one thing that they do all have in common is the quality, because Springbank is known for making their Scotch kind of in a very traditional way. Sort of think farm to fork Scotch making, or like an artisanal Geppetto style of making Scotch. They do it in an old style way and try to do as much as they can in-house, except for basically growing the grain, which they sort of do with one of their other versions, which is extraordinarily difficult to get, the local barley. But those things have really made it very popular. It makes it very delicious, and it makes it very expensive and hard to get, especially as you get to the mid-tier versions at the 15 and above, because I think they go all the way up to like 30 years or so on. that was a tough one to get. This Springbank 15 specifically, though, is aged 12 years first in ex-bourbon barrels, and then it is finished off for the remainder of the years in ex Oloroso cask, which really gives it that very beautiful color. I don't know if you all can see that in there, but it's got a very nice kind of auburn, kind of sweet hummingbird suckly color to it. It is non-chill filter and is also made from 100% malted barley. Now, the price that we see it here at Goodyear, Arizona is at $164.99, which is actually pretty good, especially considering that the Total Wine here in Los Angeles has it for a bit more at $169.99 when it's available, which it is not. And then also, one of our local whiskey purveyors, they have it for $159.99 when it is available, which it is not. So there's definitely something to say here about a bird in a hand rather than some squirrels in the bush. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but yeah, it's definitely available. And even at a little bit higher price, that's even better. So if we had bought this Springbank 15 here at the Total Wine in Goodyear, which we did not because we had this one previously, then we would have overpaid our local purveyor by $4.01 or 2.45%. I don't think I've seen Costco ever sell it. Maybe they do, but I don't think so. Now, the ABV on the Springbank 15, as you might be able to see there, is at 46%, which, if you are coming from a bourbon background, a bourbon base, like probably a lot of you are, and I know for I am, that ABV, it is a bit low. But I also know that from having been very lucky and being able to try some really amazing scotches, usually dragged into it by the wife, not kicking and screaming, just dragged into it, 46% oftentimes is just the right ABV for kind of a delicate scotch like these to not overpower a lot of those kind of complex and nuanced flavors that are in there, but also keep it, an adult beverage. The tasting notes that I could find on it, because I have tried the 10, because we had the 10, and we've had that one, and this is actually the second one we've had, so the 10 is very, very good. I like that a lot, but I've not had the 15, so the tasting notes that I did find on it online mentioned flavors of leathery, like dried fruit, malty graham, a healthy amount of smoke, which is not what I would expect, roasted nuts, British dessert flavors, and dehydrated citrus, which, I mean, honestly, sounds real amazing, especially as we get into the wintertime, fall flavors. That sounds exactly like a fall drink, especially with that complexity of, a Tolstoy novel attached to it. Now, the review scores I could find on the Springbank 15 are exceptionally good, as you would expect, at 91 points out of 100, which is, frankly, for a scotch that is 15-year-old, so highly rated and pretty difficultly to get, $164.99, I mean, that seems like a pretty fair value for it. So at the Total Wine in Goodyear, seeing the Springbank 15 was amazing, and I would say that it is a buy, definitely a buy at $164.99. We didn't buy it because we already had this one at home and we have not opened it up yet, and I will probably regret not having bought another one just to have it after we do try it. But yeah, for us, this was a pass on this trip, and again, if we try this one out and it lives up to the hype, maybe I'll drive back and pick it up. Being in Arizona, it might still be there. So that is the Springbank 15. Now, next up is a bourbon that we have not really started jumping at very deeply into. I've had some experience with it, but we haven't really gone to the next level, really started to drink our way through the line as of yet, which is this Makers Mark. And sure, we have a couple Maker Mark here. I think we got them from the holiday gift set from last year for the Christmas. I'll put a link up here for those, and we haven't got through those three, although they do look interesting and they're always very tempting. But I feel like you're gonna drink all three of them at one time, otherwise what's the point, right? You won't even notice the difference. But this one that we see here at the Total Wine in Goodyear is gonna be the Makers Mark 2023 limited edition BEP. It is definitely tempting to pick up. I mean, it looks very, very cool with a nice blue label. I think I'm already sort of regretting not picking this one up because I think it would be very interesting. Now, what this limited edition is a version of Maker's Mark that is from a wood finished series. It started back in 2019, and basically every year since then, they have brought out a new version of this limited edition with a different finish to it. Additionally, the BEP stands for Barrel Entry Proof, which means that it is the whiskey that is at the proof that it is at when it goes into the barrel, but not necessarily when it comes out of the barrel. And really, from what I can tell, is it's sort of like a workaround for cask strength or straight from the barrel or any of those kind of monikers, because when the whiskey comes out of the barrel after the Angels take their share, it is usually a considerably higher proof. But I'm assuming they proof it back down in this case to where it was when it went into the barrel. So just kind of maybe a way to put on there that it has a nice kind of higher standard ABV than the normal Maker's Mark proof, which is good, but also not like saying cask strength or straight from the barrel or any of those kind of higher indicators of higher ABV, because it might put it out of the price range that they're trying to fill with it. So again, that's 100% my assumption. Now, for the finish work, what they do is they take the standard Maker's Mark wheated bourbon, and then the finish work is done with wood stabs that are put into the barrel to kind of mold the flavor palette to really soften out some of those more like harsher edges that you get with the standard Maker's Mark line. Maker's Mark is good, but mass produced, they just can't really make it as smooth as it could be, or add a little bit of zhuzh to it with a finish. The mash bill on it, though, is exactly the same as the normal Maker's Mark. It's 70% corn, 16% wheat, and 14% malted barley. And also, there is not an age statement on there, so we don't really know how long the whiskey has been finished with those stabs. But one thing is for sure is that the ABV is considerably higher than the standard Maker's Mark line. One other thing that I noticed while I was going through the information for this is that, at least according to one article, this BEP might be the last that Maker's Mark is going to put out. So I really think I should have picked some up. The price that we see here at Total Wine in Arizona is at $79.99, which is a bit steeper price in Arizona than what we see at the Total Wine here in Los Angeles, where we can find it for $65.99, but of course, it's out of stock. Or even at our local whiskey markets, our whiskey mongers, if you will, that have it for $69.99. So if we did end up picking this one up at the Total Wine in Arizona, we would have overpaid by $10 or 12.5% from our local whiskey mongers price. But again, neither the Los Angeles Total Wines or the whiskey mongers have it, so, it's academic at that point. Now, the ABV on this one is at barrel proof at 110.7 proof or 55.35%, which is pretty good. There's definitely nothing to shake a stick at as far as ABV goes. And the tasting notes that I could find on it mentioned that the flavor is quite bold, especially with brown sugar and toasted oak heavy notes, with a strong baking spice and cinnamon. And although it is not complex as the notes go, it is very much in your face and very brash, which is kind of what you expect from a bourbon. That's kind of what you want. You shouldn't have your bourbons whispering the flavor palette into your taste buds. The average review scores that I could find on it, the Makers Mark BEP 2023 limited release, gave it a pretty good score at 89 points out of 100. That's okay, right? And my impression is that there really are a lot of Makers Mark lovers, and having a nice upgraded finished version of it probably is a real nice thing to have and put into their collection as they drink normal Maker's Mark, and on special occasions or maybe the end of the night, they kind of move up to the last dram of the night a little extra. But either way, this one was a pass for us. At the moment, we just don't have the bandwidth to really start up another line of bourbons like a Maker's Mark and stuff like that. We already got plenty of ones we're still trying to work our way through. In addition, the wife is really pushing heavy on the Scotch. So we'll see a little bit more of that. I'd like to get into Maker's Mark at some point, but at the moment, we just don't have a way to go real deep dive into it. So it was a pass. And obviously, I'm sort of regretting that one too. All right, so that's it for today's Whiskey Wanders at the Total Wine in Goodyear, Arizona. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video. And in fact, hope you enjoyed all of our videos, whether it is the Wanders or the hauls or the reviews or the unbottlings or the unboxings or really all the amazing stuff that we got cooking up for you, because we have tons of amazing stuff cooking up for you. And if you do, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because 1, it is good for your whiskey mojo, 2, it pleases the whiskey gods, and 3, you get notifications when our newest videos come out on Sundays, when our shorts come out sort of randomly, and when our other videos come out in between. Now, just remember, if you do find a whiskey that you love, just buy it, because if you don't, somebody else surely will, and maybe not in this case, but it might even be me. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week. I'm out, and adios.